Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has said no agreement on loan would be reached during his upcoming official visit to China. His comment came during a meeting with former Prime Ministers and foreign ministers at the Prime Minister's office at Singh Darbar. Oli claimed that the Belt and Road Initiative signed with China is not a loan-based agreement and that there is no need to discuss it now, whether or not to seek a loan from Beijing. The Nepalese PM will begin his official visit to China on December 2 at the invitation of the Chinese government. At least 4 Pakistani Rangers have been killed and 5 others, including policemen, injured after miscreants ran over security officials with a vehicle on Pakistan's Srinagar highway. The incident has occurred during the ongoing Pakistan Tehreek-i-Insaf protests. The protests, which have been ongoing since November 24, demand the release of former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Today marks the 16th anniversary of one of the most tragic and harrowing chapters in India's history, the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Over 160 people lost their lives that day, including 26 foreign nationals, and more than 300 were wounded. The events unfolded over a 60-hour siege that left the city shaken and the nation in grief. But it was also a day that showcased extraordinary acts of courage and resilience from Mumbai's police, security forces and citizens, many of whom put their own lives at risk to save others. As we remember the victims of the attacks, their families and the survivors, we also pay tribute to the countries and the countless acts of heroism and the resilience that followed the tragedy. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar on Monday met his counterparts from several countries, including the UK, France, as well as war-ravaged Ukraine and Lebanon. This comes as Dr. Jaishankar reiterated India's support for an immediate ceasefire in West Asia, with a long-term commitment to a two-state solution. His comments came during the 10th edition of the Mediterranean Dialogue in Rome. The Israeli cabinet would vote on a ceasefire deal in Lebanon on Tuesday, according to reports. The Israeli Prime Minister has approved the plan in principle, the reports added. Netanyahu signaled his potential approval for the emerging ceasefire with Hezbollah during a security consultation with Israeli officers Sunday night. Special counsel prosecutors have dismissed the 2 federal criminal cases against Donald Trump in separate court filings on Monday. This, as they bowed down to the reality that they would not be completed or processed to trial before Trump returns to presidency next year. This move effectively ends the lengthy legal battle surrounding Trump's handling of classified documents and his attempts to overturn the 2020 election results. US President-elect Donald Trump has said he'll slap tariffs on Canada, China and Mexico on day 1 of assuming office. Trump will change Mexico and China a 25% tariff plus an additional 10% tariff specifically for China on all products coming in to the US. Responding to Trump's announcement, China's Washington embassy has said neither the US nor China would win a trade war. Meanwhile, top Trump aide Boris Epstein is under scrutiny. This comes on the heels of allegations that he solicited retainer fees from individuals in exchange for promoting them for positions in Trump 2.0. Epstein, a key player in Trump's legal defenses and transition team, is the subject of a review ordered by Trump himself after trusted associates raised concerns about his actions. US President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden pardoned Peach and Blossom, two white plumed turkeys, on Monday local time, sparing them from the Thanksgiving dinner tables, an annual tradition that also marked the start of the Democrats' last holiday season at the White House. The president returned from a trip to New York earlier, where he hosted Friendsgiving for US Coast Guard members and their families. The meal was part of the First Lady's Joining Forces initiative to support military families. Russia's defense ministry has said its army attacked Ukraine's military airport facilities and energy facilities over the past day. Moscow claims they provide support for Kiev's defense enterprises. On the other hand, Russia's air defense system intercepted 4 Ukrainian joint direct attack munition bombs, shot down 45 drones, and also intercepted 8 ballistic missiles. Meanwhile, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine has said that 217 battles took place in the frontline areas. The Ukrainian Air Force, missile forces, and artillery units launched strikes on 12 Russian military concentration areas. Uruguay's president-elect Yomandru Orsi has said he will prioritize relations with neighboring countries a day after winning the election. Orsi said good regional bonds were important because in a month everything can change. The world is sitting on a powder keg. He made the statements while visiting Broad Front leader and former president Jose Pepe Mujica at his ranch in the outskirts of Montevideo. Over to Europe, where foreign ministers attending the G7 meeting in Italy have inaugurated a new red bench. The installation symbolizes Rome's focus on fighting gender-based violence. The bench was inaugurated as communities across the world mark the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. A similar red bench has also been installed in the Italian embassy in Stockholm. Gender-based violence has reportedly claimed the lives of 99 women this year alone in Italy. The United Nations humanitarian chief Tom Fletcher has stressed that the organization, quote-unquote, must do better to support people in Sudan. This as Fletcher attended an event in the war-wrecked nation to raise awareness about violence against women. The humanitarian chief also launched UN's annual 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence campaign, which this year is using the slogan, "You are not alone." Listen in.
When we say, "You are not alone," we mean this. You are not alone. We must do better. We must make sure that these words, "You are not alone," are not just words that people say into a microphone when they visit you, but they become the core of our work.
Women across Latin America marched to commemorate the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women on Monday. Many wore purple handkerchiefs, which have become a symbol of feminism, and green to represent calls for legal, safe, and free abortion. Feminist organizations and groups in Mexico City and Venezuela marched through the streets, chanting and holding banners aloft. Organizers called the demonstration the Butterfly Walk. It's a reference to the 3 Mirabal sisters who campaigned against Rafael Leonidas Trujillo's dictatorship in the Dominican Republic. In a landmark victory for the city's LGBTQ+ community, Hong Kong's top court has upheld earlier rulings that favored subsidized housing benefits and equal inheritance rights for same-sex married couples. The court's dismissal of the government's appeal has ended some years-long legal battles over the differential treatment facing same-sex couples married overseas under Hong Kong's housing authority policies and 2 inheritance laws.
I think the most important this is not only fight for me and for my partner, but this is fighting for all the people, all the same-sex couples in Hong Kong. I do know many of them. they do have the needs to live together. They just want a little place to make their livings. But not many of them have the courage or have the ability to do this kind of legal actions.
Heavy rains caused severe flooding in the British city of Northampton on Monday. This as the second major storm of season battered England and Wales. Footage showed the devastating extent of flooding in Northampton. Streets were submerged by muddy floodwaters and rivers overflowing. UK remained on high alert after Storm Bert hit the communities over the weekend, leaving at least 2 people dead and disrupting road and rail travel. Turbulent weather is compounding the challenges faced by displaced people in Gaza. Heavy rains and dropping temperatures are making tents and other temporary shelters uninhabitable. Hamas's officials in the coastal enclave said on Monday that nearly 10,000 tents had been swept away by flooding over the past 2 days. This adds to the earlier warnings about the risk facing those sheltering in low-lying floodplains, including areas designated as humanitarian zones. Listen in to this chilling voice note from Gaza.
متنا إنه بيجي قديش إحنا على البحر 8 أشهر دبنا عينا ومتنا من البرد في شواعي ولا فراش ولا إشي ولا كابونات ولا إشي ما حد مدور علينا ما حدش مدور علينا بالمرة.
Renowned Indian author Amitav Ghosh has been honored with the prestigious Dutch Erasmus Prize for his profound writings on climate change and its impact on humanity, particularly in the Indian subcontinent. Ghosh has delved deeply into the question of how to do justice to this existential threat that defies our imagination. The prize committee highlighted in its statement, the Erasmus Prize, which will be presented by Dutch King William Alexander on Tuesday, recognizes quote-unquote exceptional contribution to the humanities, the social sciences, or the arts in Europe and beyond. Meanwhile, China is preparing for strong rains, winds, and snowfall as a cold wave grips the country, causing a sharp drop in temperature. The country's National Met Department or Center issued a yellow alert for snowstorms on Monday, with blizzards expected to hit parts of the country's northeast. The center says the cold weather will move into southern China in the next 2 days. Bitcoin has posted its longest losing streak for the period since Donald Trump's US election victory. This comes after a failed run at $100,000 and amid cooling fervor over the president-elect's embrace of crypto. The digital asset completed a 3-day drop of roughly 6% through Monday before trading at $94,532 as of noon Tuesday in Singapore. American electric vehicle maker Rivian has received a conditional approval for an up to $6.6 billion loan from the US Department of Energy. It is likely to be deployed towards a planned factory in Georgia. Rivian received unconditional approval from the DOE's Advanced Technology Vehicle Manufacturing Loan Program, the electric vehicle maker said in a statement. The loan consists of a principal amount of $6 billion and $600 million in capital interest. Citigroup is cutting the number of year-end promotions it awards. The move reportedly comes as it seeks to hold costs down amid long-term restructuring to shrink headcount. Managers have been told that as many as 2,000 Citi employees could get a pay hike and title in the next month. It's down from about 8,000 the previous years. Japan's Fair Trade Commission has reportedly conducted an on-site inspection of Amazon Japan on suspicion of violating anti-monopoly laws. The unit of Amazon.com Inc. is suspected of wrongly urging sellers to lower their prices on its e-commerce site in exchange for giving their products preferential placement on the site. Formula One has reached an agreement in principle with American car giant General Motors for its Cadillac brand to join the F1 grid as a new 11th team from 2026. In a stunning turn of events 10 months after American outfit Andretti's original bid to join the grid with backing from GM-owned Cadillac was rejected by F1 for either of the next 2 seasons, what appears to be a revised offering with General Motors now front and center of the project seems to have dramatically changed the situation. Shanghai's auto exports are showing strong growth with just over 1 million vehicles exported in the first 10 months this year. This as the new shipping route to Peru's Chancay port opens. Listen in to Chen Jia, Head of Inspection Division 9 at the Shanghai Port Customs.
通关、查验、物流等多个环节，开设汽车出口绿色通道。今年前10个月，我们上海外高桥港区海关监管出口国产汽车累计达到了107.7万辆，同比增长28%。
A scientific laboratory in China has created humanoid robots that can play the piano and other Chinese instruments, with collections including the traditional Chinese musical piece, Butterfly Lovers. Google and Facebook owner Meta Platforms has urged the Australian government to delay a bill that will ban social media for children under 16 years of age. The tech giant says more time is needed to assess its potential impact. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's centre-left government wants to pass the bill. It represents some of the toughest controls on children's social media use imposed by any country into law by the end of parliamentary year on Thursday. Elon Musk's X has also raised concerns that the bill will negatively impact the human rights of children and young people, including their right to freedom of expression and access to information. Google and the US government faced off in a federal court on Monday over the antitrust case. Each side delivered closing arguments in a case revolving around the technology giant's alleged unfair domination of online advertising. The trial is in the Virginia federal court is Google's second US antitrust case now underway as the US government tries to rein in the power of big tech. In a separate trial, a Washington judge ruled that Google's search business is an illegal monopoly. Not only this, the US Justice Department is asking that Google sell its Chrome browser business to resolve the case. The world's biggest chip supplier, NVIDIA, has revealed a new artificial intelligence model for generating music and audio. It can modify voices and generate novel sounds. However, it does not have immediate plans to publicly release the technology, which it calls Fugato, short for Foundational Generative Audio Transformer Opus 1.